Welcome back, everybody. I have the pleasure of talking to Terrence Fullerton again. Every time I run into him, he always shares something wonderful about computers that I never knew about. So today I bring him on to share with us something you may not be aware of, and then you can talk about it a little bit more in detail after the video. So Terrence, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Little cold, but I'm doing well.
That it is. To share with us, what's the latest that you are sharing with your networking groups?
Okay, well, unfortunately, what I'm sharing today is not something wonderful. It's something really bad. What has happened recently with Windows 11 is Microsoft has decided that they are going to have Windows run the way they want it run, not the way the consumer wants it. In the past, when you bought a computer, you turned it on, you said yes to a few questions, and then it started eventually, and then you used it. Today, when you buy a Windows computer, you are forced to sign into a Microsoft account. You have no choice. Now, what that means is you are giving Microsoft complete control of the computer. They decide whether or not you can use the computer, and you have to identify yourself to them. If anything goes wrong, and it does way too often, you get locked out of your computer. I've had a client who had an update to Windows, it locked him out. I know people who have moved from one place to another. Let's say you are in Florida, your computer works fine. You move to New York, and your computer is not working. Microsoft sees that you have moved, and they lock you out. And when that happens, sometimes you can get back in, other times you cannot. So when that happens now, you have to reinstall Windows and you have to reinstall all of your data. But here's the problem. In the past, if you had a backup system like OneDrive, it's very easy to get into OneDrive and get your data back. But now OneDrive is tied to the same account that you can't get into. So you can't get your data from OneDrive. Now, in cases like that in the past, I used to be able to get onto the computer and download the data from the computer itself, even though the account is locked. And I can still do that if the drive is not encrypted. But Microsoft now encrypts the drive, whether you want it or not. So now you cannot get into it without a recovery key. That recovery key is stored in your account, which you can't get into because they locked you out. If I can get into the computer, I can recover any files that are there on the computer unless they have been moved. And Microsoft now moves a lot of your files from your computer to their computer. And in order to get into it, you have to log into your account, the same account that they have locked you out of. So whether you like it or not, they are putting all of your files, everything that you do is in this one basket. All the eggs are in one basket. And it is not a reliable basket. A lot of people are having problems, and a lot of people are actually losing data, permanently losing data. And don't try contacting Microsoft to ask them to help because you will not get any help from them, unfortunately. So, what I am encouraging clients to do now, there are several approaches. First of all, don't use Windows. A lot of people don't realize that Linux is now a viable option. In the past, when you heard about Linux, you thought about something that was only suitable for geeks, real experts. And that used to be true. But today, Linux is very easy to use. There has been a lot of effort to make it as easy as Windows 7. In fact, it is easier to use than Windows 11. And that's not an exaggeration. So I encourage people to look into Linux, especially if you have older hardware that cannot run Windows 11. Chances are Linux would run on it. Option two is to install Microsoft Windows without an account. Just install it the way it was done in the past. Now, Microsoft has gone out of their way to block that process. but we still have one or two ways that we can use, and we have to do it at the beginning. You can't have a computer that's running and try to do it. You have to start from scratch when you're reinstalling Windows. Microsoft has said they're going to block those ways also. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future, whether we'll find ways around them. But it's a cat and mouse game right now where they block us from bypassing their system and we find a way to bypass it, and then they block us and then we bypass it. And right now we have ways of doing it. But if you are installing Windows, I strongly recommend that you bypass their system and use the computer the way you want to use it, not the way that they tell you to use it. And finally, no matter what you do, you need to make sure that you back up your data outside of Microsoft. Microsoft automatically enables OneDrive, which they call backup, but it is not backup because backup is supposed to be a second independent copy of your data. But if you are using OneDrive, your data, your computer, OneDrive, everything is in one account. So it's not a second copy, it's the same thing. So you need to use another program like Carbonite, iDrive, there are a whole bunch of them, something separate from Microsoft. And you need to be very careful if you also use the new Office version. It's a Microsoft 365 Copilot, it's called. And the problem with it is that it automatically saves your files to Microsoft's computers, not yours. So we're in the same problem. Everything is on Microsoft server. So if you have to use that program, you have to go into the settings and make sure that it's saving the data to your computer. And then you have an independent backup system so that if anything goes wrong, you can at least access your data. So it's a big mess right now. If you listen to a lot of the technical channels, it's a big issue that people are complaining about. And that's just part of it. There's also the privacy problem where Microsoft is collecting data on every single thing you do. You are Someone sends you an email, they read the email and they admit it. They read the email to find out what they can sell to you. If you send someone an email, they read the email. You are typing a confidential letter to someone, they are reading that letter as you type. That is what the whole online and artificial intelligence thing is about. This is why a lot of us don't like it. So it's a big problem. We don't know how bad it's going to get, but they don't seem to have any limit so far. It gets worse every month. And I'm recommended that everyone take steps to, if you have data that's important, make sure you have it backed up outside of Microsoft because you run a real risk of losing it forever. And that's
Wow.
about what I have to say at this point. It's not pleasant.
Well, thank you for the wonderful news about something that we all have to use all the time, our computers. Whew.
Yes.
So,
Unfortunately, it's not good news.
well, this is what I'm going to encourage you all. If you don't have an IT person that you trust, that you can go out there and ask them these questions and get yourself best prepared, please reach out to Terrence. How do they reach you?
The easiest way is to call me or text me 386-801-2123, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Any questions, don't be afraid if it's just a simple question. I'm happy to help. I'm also very happy to help anyone who thinks that there's a scam on their computer and would like me to look at it. I do that for free. Anybody who has a scam on their computer, I'll help them for free.
Wow, you are wonderful, wonderful person to know. So even if you do have an IT person that you trust, it's always nice to be able to call a second opinion as well. So thank you for your time and keeping us up to date with the latest tech information and tips that we need to know, Terrence.
It's
You have
my
a great
pleasure to do
day.
so.
Bye.
Bye.